Hey guys, it's Dottie and Orly. We're back for another episode of Seeds of Success. Just as a reminder, we are here on a weekly basis to try to give you just a little tidbit of something that we think it's worth sharing with you or that maybe is a good time to start thinking about right now. And today's episode is one that um, sometimes we just don't think about it, but the title of today's episode is Success is Not Plug and Play. So, Orly, I know this is kind of an odd title, but let's kind of start to talk about that so our listeners can understand what we're thinking about on this.
Yeah. So what we're saying is, sometimes when you get a new product in your center, you can't just plug it in and expect people to flood to your center. There's a lot that goes into it when you get a new product. Having that new product is going to get people in, but there's a lot of things you can do to get more people in, whether it's a new arcade game, maybe a new kiosk. You can't just plug that kiosk in and say, okay, let me sit back and watch all these people start to come in. No, there's a lot of things that go into it. I know placement of the kiosk, that's a big deal. Showing people how to use it, posting videos of how to use your new item, what your new item is. Dottie, I'm sure there's plenty more things you could think of that would go into to a new product.
Yes, and one of the things that first and foremost we need to do is we need to introduce whatever it is into. Well, first of all, we need to introduce it to the staff because a lot of times the staff is not, privy to what's going on behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden this new product. Maybe it's new scoring or, like you said, maybe a kiosk all of a sudden appears and they don't know anything about it. So one of the things that we need to make sure that we do, and we talk about this a lot, is to make sure that you're keeping your staff in the loop of what's going on and include them in, hey, here's what we've done. Here's why we did this. Here's how it's used, and letting them be equipped with the information that they need and get them excited about it because their enthusiasm is going to overflow on to the customers as the customers are coming in. But the other thing that really needs to be done when you get a new product or a new piece of equipment or offer a new service is that you need to think through how that is going to impact your operational model. So, for example, you mentioned kiosk. That's a great example. With a kiosk, how is that going to affect? Well, people can now go to the kiosk and they can order food and beverage. So, okay, what does that do? What other things do I need to have in mind and be aware of in order to make that be incorporated into my operational model? And so those are things that need to be thought out really before you ever get the new product or offer the new service or whatever. You need to think it all the way through to the end. What do I need to do from a back end standpoint, from an operational standpoint? What do I need to do in order to make this service or this new product be successful? So you mentioned if I'm going to be purchasing a kiosk and I'm going to use it for food and beverage. And my goal with that kiosk is that my league bowlers, for example, are offered this convenience so that they don't have to walk to the snack bar. Well, then you need to make sure that when you are putting in that kiosk, you are aware of what your goal is with that kiosk. And if you're going to be taking food and beverage orders, how am I going to deliver those food and beverage orders? Things along those lines. What am I going to offer on that menu? Things along those lines need to be done in advance. So yes, you're getting a new product. And yes, people will gravitate towards it because they will bump into it at some point. But market it and let people know that you have that product, right? Don't just expect them to bump into it and know what to do with it. You have a responsibility to let them know, right?
Yeah. A good example of that is I used to work in radio and I would do promotions at times. I'd be out at an event and, you would hire the radio station to come out there and we would talk, hey, this is Orly. I'm going to be out at this car lot from 2 to 4. Come by, come see us. And they come to see us. And then, sometimes the car lot's like, okay, like when are these people going to start coming and buying our cars? But it's like, okay, I'm not really your car salesman. I'm here to help you get the people here. You got to have a plan of what you're going to do once those people get here. So same thing with something like a kiosk. Yeah, it's going to bring more people in. I mean, it's going to bring people that are going to start using it, but you got to make sure you have a plan. And once they start using it, how you're going to use it to best fit the needs of the customers in your center.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And ultimately, you'll be a lot more successful, right?
Yeah.
We know, I mean, for goodness sakes, when you put in a new scoring system and people see, all the different animations and stuff, there's going to be a natural bump if you don't do anything else. But that's, what you want to do is you want to be long-term successful, not short-term successful, right? And being long-term successful is that you put things in place and you market and you bring in new business associated with the features that you now have available. And when you think of it that way, and when you start looking before you make purchases at what do I need to do to set myself up for success, keep all of those things in mind, because ultimately, if you put, you've heard of putting a little elbow grease into it. Ultimately, when you purchase something, putting a little bit of elbow grease into it will certainly pay off in the long term. So I think what we need to do is just keep in mind, some things are plug and play, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're taking it well beyond that. Plug and play has its uses, right? But in this particular case, make sure that you are taking it that extra step and you are putting the thought behind it before you ever, make that purchase, or before you ever start offering that service or program, so that you can gain long-term success. So, Orly, I think that really, those are really good seeds. We gave more than one, which that's not uncommon for us to do. So yeah, I hope that our listeners are able to take advantage, or at least consider this when they're making their next purchase.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, like she said, just don't plug that in and stare at it. Make sure you have a plan before, during, and and learn from what you're seeing, and just keep planning it out, and that product is going to bring you more success.
Absolutely. Yes. There is something to be said about planning for success. And you know what, Orly, we here at Cubica AMF, we have a number of resources that are available. We really do believe that with anything that we do sell a customer, that we want to equip you with what it takes to be successful. And so we have a number of free resources that are available for our customers, and we have services that are paid services that are available. But at the end of the day, if you need someone to walk alongside of you and step you through what it takes to have long-term success in your center, look us up. You can get a hold of us at successcoach@cubicaamf.com. And we will certainly expose you to some of the resources that we have available. Maybe you just don't have time to pay attention to some of the things that you need to be paying attention to create long-term success. So don't hesitate. It's successcoach@cubicaamf.com. And certainly that's what we pride ourselves in, is helping our customers be successful. So don't hesitate to reach out. Well, Orly, thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to do a podcast with you, and this was a really good topic, because I think that it's really beneficial for customers to keep in mind. So thanks everybody for your time today, and until next time, keep listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, and let your friends, your family, and your colleagues know about us too. Thanks so much.